Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Singaporean Talks Money, and today we'll be talking about IPOs and whether you should get in on an IPO. So we have been seeing a number of IPOs in recent times and definitely much more in the future as well. And I mean very notable companies that everyone is interested in are listing using IPOs. So there was a period of IPO fever where whatever that IPO seemed to only go up in prices, but it seemed that it has died down recently. So from Coinbase to TT2Sing to Robinhood, and coming next up will be Grab, who will be listing through a SPAC. So what I want to ask today is actually, have you ever taken part in any IPO before? And you can share with me in the comments below. For me, I've actually never participated in an IPO before, but if I ever get the chance to, it's interesting to see the stock start trading and where it's headed towards. And you can proudly say that you have held on to the share since day one. So today I'll be talking about whether should you get into an IPO exercise. So firstly, IPOs can be overrated or underrated. The thing that you need to do is that you need to research on the company first. So companies usually IPO for the main purpose of raising capital for the business, where the capital can be used for expanding the business or various other purposes. It is really a quick way to raise funds, a huge amount of capital, and I'm sure you have seen news of how IPOs have made the founder billionaires and based on the shares that they hold. So you have to also find out and research on the company. Of course, if the company is very famous, before even IPOs like Coinbase, Airbnb or Robinhood, you'll be able to find information much easier than if it's a company not as much being talked about, because definitely there will be opinions from people that you can also take into consideration. So sometimes brokers might even recommend certain IPOs to you, but watch out and beware. You should always know the basis of buying and what business model the company has and whether it will be profitable in the long run and whether it's sustainable. So next is that you can wait for the lockup period before buying the shares. So I found out about this lockup period after I bought Palantir. It was sometime after their IPO, which was they IPO'd on 23rd Jan 2019, and there were articles on how the lockup period would affect the prices as sell-off could happen after that. So let me just quote this from Investopedia. An initial public offering lockup period is a caveat outlining a period of time after a company has gone public where major shareholders are prohibited from selling their shares. And during this IPO lockup, company insiders and early investors cannot sell their shares, helping to ensure an orderly IPO and not flood the market with additional shares for sale. This means that they cannot just at a whim just sell up all their holdings, correct? And usually after a lockup period, people tend to anticipate a drop in prices due to the additional shares being released. But definitely it doesn't apply every single time that prices will fall after the lockup period. Because if the stock is really attractive, there will be people who will buy it no matter what, right? And lastly, you might not even be eligible to buy an IPO. So getting access to buy an IPO is not easy because firstly, you will need to follow up on what companies are going to IPO and when. To participate in buying, you will also need a brokerage firm that provides the service. And this is because when companies issue IPO, they will need to inform the brokerage firms who will then inform the investors. Of course, participating might require some criteria or qualifications set by the brokerages. For example, you might need to have a certain amount of money or have a certain number of transactions being done before the brokerage will allow you to buy in. I mean, today's video is definitely a very not deep dive into the subject, but I just wanted to share a bit more about IPOs, which I feel is really what many companies are doing currently to raise funds, and I think it's interesting to be able to find out more information on it. So all in all, I find there are good companies that choose the IPO to raise funds for their growth, but the difficulty is to know which companies. As mentioned earlier, I have no experience in buying IPOs. If you do have experiences, whether good or bad, do share them with me in the comments down below. I'm sure there are a lot of information, and just wanted to do a video on IPO considering the previous IPO fever that we had a while back, when many successful companies went on to IPO. Thank you for staying till the end. Do remember to subscribe and give a thumbs up. Thank you.